Oh dear, camera's on. Yeah, welcome to another edition of What the Fuck Happenings in the YouTube, whatever and such. Yeah. Summing up the week in fun. Uh, yeah, I should just make it my week. That's right. I should just make it about me. Yeah, there's nothing to really. There's nothing. YouTube has just gotten so dead everywhere. Just who could possibly care, kind of stuff. It's just terrible. Anyway, worth mentioning, I suppose, is the Lord and Savior guy. I was feeling kind of bad for him. It's kind of funny. Old Snake Plisskenist, and I was thinking, I even had some thoughts. Like I said, well, I got these shacks here that are vacant and blah blah blah. And you're just, but this is a guy who just, if there ain't trouble, he's gonna find something to make. So it just kind of, it really is kind of disgraceful in a way. He does the e-begging thing, gets the money, and then creates a problem and pisses away all the money the people gave a shit enough to give him. And it's just, he kind of promised to piss it away, but piss it away in some kind of just grotesquely silly way. Well, anyway, and then he has a whole, he says the whole story again, like somehow he's the victim, and you're just like, yeah, there's no way that's the way this story went. He's just such a pile of shit. I mean, cops don't show up at hotels with dogs unless, there's a problem. There's somebody playing hide and seek or something. Well, anyway, the whole thing. I lost my key. I've been there one day, and I already lost my key once, and then somehow I lock myself, after I've got a new key, I lock myself out of my room naked. And then I don't find something somewhere in a hotel to cover myself with, an ice bucket, something, and, plead insanity and beg for help, but instead do something completely stupid. Well, anyway, the whole thing is just, you're just saying, oh, yeah, you don't want this guy as a neighbor. If he just isn't going to overtly get your house burned down, he's going to get you to, he's going to get you drunk and ruined. He's that kind of friend, the one with the great ideas that aren't great ideas. But anyway, so, but there's always examples in these things, because you're saying, no, he's found a way to separate himself from his heritage of, redneck moron, by gaining a little knowledge and fluidity with language and witticisms and whatnot, and it's still in there. Just, life is suck. So anyway, there's just nothing. I could report on things, but it's like that you're almost embarrassed to report on them. Tommy from the Bronx is not, doing these stupid post-fight review for the whatever it's called, UFC. It's like, ugh, cliche there also. It's just, warbles on a lot, kangaroos and F-15s or F-35s or whatever. Who the fuck could care? So anyway, Anaconabot talking about the suffering of jet lag. You're just like, okay, it's bad enough that you're rude to suffering, but this is like so obnoxiously rude to real suffering, and there's no way to respond to something that rude. That insulting to the real suffering of the world by calling what you're enduring some kind of hard experience. I didn't get enough sleep last night. I'm irritable. Compared to what goes on. Compared to dying of cancer and such. Yeah, right. Alzheimer's. I mean, there's just so much of this life thing. It's just so ugly. If you tell the whole true, real story, it's ugly, tragic horror, and people should just keep saying that to people. That it's not going to be what you think it is. There is not going to be this fairy tale thing. The wedding is a lie. The whole thing is a lie. It's not going to be this charming little adventure through a clean and perfect world and la 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 la, and you just sing and dance all day. None of that's going to happen. So, the only good news is Hothladay is appearing to get the physics thing, but I will, bet no money on it. I think you have it in principle, a viable mechanical explanation of gravity, magnetism, and potentially any force through your ideas of motion and polarization. I'm not sure how it addresses quantum experiments generally. Well, some quantum experiments are generally not, they're difficult to interpret, but I mean, my interpretation is no more viable than the other wacky interpretations. Until we can X-ray, so to speak, the experiment. I mean, I would still argue that most of these experiments, if you did them rigorously, with some rigor, and without an agenda of trying to find results, and just start manipulating different things in the experiment, change the mirror, do this, change that, and document how things change when you change the variables, that you could probably dissect what is actually happening. But, there's no scientist interested in doing science. They just want to, find a ghost in the image and say, there, black something or other, and dark something or other, and, just horrible. But anyway, so, that might be, so I have to do some more writing. I do want to rewrite some of this, I suppose, and, I hate writing. I never used to, I really have just been in a terrible writer's blocky kind of thing for a few years, and, just irritating that it just doesn't, it's this idea that, this unrealistic expectation, just to have this expectation that if I put them in words, that the words have to be correct, and it's very hard to put things in correct words. But you can look at it and you say, oh, I didn't mean to say that. I mean, if I could analyze what I'm saying when I'm making this video, I'd say, ooh, fix that and fix that, and I paused there, and I paused there, and I said, blah blah there, and blah blah wasn't a proper thing to say. So yeah, you pick it to pieces, and I guess that's I'm just too conscious of the flaws of communication, especially when you have time to fix it. And so it just makes me incompetent as a communicator, as I keep waiting for it to get better. Do it to better. So anyway, old fan did make her anti-natal news video, but anti-natals have been a little boring. So it was kind of boring news, most of it. Metamorph was in the hospital again. I don't, I'm sort of, the whole nihilist thing just doesn't work for me. I mean, I just, how can I really can't expend any energy worrying about the welfare of nihilists. It's just like, okay. Yeah, so you got exactly what you figured on. Great. Enjoy it. I just can't do it. Anyway, just can't be bothered, simply put. And, like Muslims, so that brings up the Piro thing, I suppose. I mean, the whole room is devoted to this stupid argument again, and whether you can generalize about groups, and whether you can do this, and whether you can do that. And that's also related, like the last video I posted, somebody posted a link to some smiley face constitution or something, some happy group that wants to rewrite the Constitution, and it's just full of this unrealistic mush. Everybody's entitled to a house and electricity and a warm bath and food and clothing, some minimum amount. People go to work and they can't afford those things. I mean, who's going to work at a $10 an hour job if they don't have to? I mean, it's just silly to think that I'm still going to go to McDonald's every day if I don't have to. I mean, realistically. So, you're going to have an awful lot of people that say, well, yeah, that's better than working. I mean, it is as a practical matter. And are they entitled not to live in a house with 25 other people? I'm sure there's people right now living in a house with 25 other people that would be real damn happy to get out of the house with 25 other people. So this is just, who's going to finance this nonsense? And that gets to this whole refugee bullshit and everything, and there's no plan. The plan is you got to fix the fundamental problem, which is there's whole segments of the world that are totally dysfunctional, and they're attempting to invade the rest of the world with their dysfunction. And that's what it is. It is a blight. And okay, you can call people Nazi if they say, hey, we don't need that shit. I mean, take that shit elsewhere. But as a practical matter, you either fix it or you have to ignore it. But you can't do both. You can't just sit there and say, let's just pretend it's okay to not oblige countries to join the civilized world and have some sort of restraint. Okay? Because if you don't do that, these problems become unsustainable. I mean, it's like even the Palestinians. You can be empathetic for the Palestinians, but the real problem is the Palestinians are overbreeding insanely. They have no economy, no money. They're just creating a pot just waiting to boil into shit. And most of Africa has this problem. I mean, the whole bottom part of that continent is just fundamentally broken. I mean, the bottom part of the whole, including the Middle East and the East, even. Most of the world is broken. I mean, that's why the world's a mess. And so then people say, oh, Trump's stupid, whatever his name is, Al or jerk, whatever his name is. Oh yeah, I like the Trump idea. Let's build them a Trump Tower in Syria and to live in. It's just so. Oh yeah, let's build a 1 or 2 or 3 million occupant city in Syria for the Syrians to live in. I mean, just thinking of the infrastructure, the whole thing, no way it's going to work. I mean, just hugely expensive to create a civilization for these people. We don't do it for our own people. They're trying to put it in the Constitution that somehow we're entitled to that. And we're not going to get that. It doesn't make any. You can't do this Band-Aid thing because there's too many people with too many injuries, too many wounds, and the wounds were all unnecessary because even when I was a kid, they were talking about zero population growth and we got to get there and we got to get there, and then somehow the bankers explained to a few people that we need new people to have new debt to pay for the old debt, or you're going to have to pay for it. And then they all ran away from the idea of anything sustainable, and they said, okay, well, let's keep doing the crazy shit, and I'll just hope I die before it all turns to crap, before the crash. I guess that was the philosophy. But it was never about fixing anything. And it is fixable in the sense that we do have some power as a world power to negotiate with countries for their UN food and different things, and we can tell them, But we're a religious nation now because we've imported so many religious kooks. Now we can't even have an anti-God policy. We can't even have a policy that says you must exercise birth control or we're not going to give you goddamn food. We're not going to pay you to make blight, to create the very thing we're having to pay you to fix, to break more stuff so we have to fix it, kind of a thing. And I'm not saying we're not good. I mean, the whole Middle East thing and blowing up places and all that shit was a huge waste of money. Just an insane, preposterous waste. But that wasn't out of the same motivation even, which is another, it's just amazing. It wasn't to reduce population, certainly. It was just to create the chaos that, our corporations can take advantage of, I suspect. Big business can do better big business if there's chaos. It really just doesn't, I'm way past giving a shit why people do what they do. The point is that you can't fix it. Just sad, but it's true. The Civil War happened. None of the people who died in the Civil War wanted to die in the Civil War. I'm sure refugees don't want to be refugees, but then maybe they should go home and try to fix their country. Maybe they got to fight for it. Maybe they got to die for their country. I mean, look at all the people who died in World War II who didn't want to die in World War II. They didn't want to die to stop Nazis or to protect Jews or do this or do that. But they did. I'm just saying, it's whose fault is the mess. And even if beyond, the simple truth is, that this whole religious kook thing just doesn't work. And that's the irony of it is these people are talking about the Muslim. It's a religious kook thing. Okay, as soon as we pass a law that says women are entitled to an abortion on welfare, that welfare should pay for abortions, then a bunch of Christians are going to get nutty, get out their guns and start shooting the place up, and you know it. So as soon as we violate their Christianity enough, they'll be just as fanatical as the fanatical Muslims, just as out of control and insane. And you could say it with almost anything. I mean, if I don't know, if the government brought back, legalized dog fighting and bullfighting or something, I can see where even some vegans or some animal rights people might start upping the game in terms of the violence. And then people compare these things like, well, our collateral damage isn't intentional. Well, it's pretty intentional in the sense that we just don't seem to give a shit. We seem to do it over and over again, which kind of implies that we don't really fix the problem of creating collateral damage. So it seems pretty malicious in the sense of the negligence is quite obvious. The I don't give a fuck. I'll kill as many civilians after 10 years of war as I did in the first year of the war. So obviously I don't want to learn how to do it better. But beyond that, it's making comparisons between the Revolutionary Army and the oppressive Rome. Yeah, Rome should behave better than the revolutionaries. That's right. Yeah, they should, because they have the power to behave better. The revolutions don't really have a choice. They have to fight dirty, because that's all they have, are the dirty tricks. All they have is the desperate bombs, the violence of desperation. And so yeah, it's another bullshit comparison. But none of this crap is going to fix any of this. These are the human underlying dilemma of the fact that these are not compatible ideologies. We have a real functional problem. We have to create civil environments for people to live in. They have to have a choice to choose to live somewhere civil. And at the same time, look, right now we have a ton of gated communities. We just don't call them gated communities. I mean, even the hotel that whatever his face was prancing around in, it's kind of a gated community. I mean, the whole idea is that, the homeless people don't get to sleep in the hallways and all that kind of stuff. I mean, it's and so we do some segregation, but the segregation should always be local. It shouldn't never be allowed to get to be a big clump. As soon as it starts clumping large, then it has to be reduced. Because as soon as it does that, that's the end of the game. As soon as we endorse segregation, then we're fucked. But clearly there has to be some of it. Some of it's permissible. because people have a native interest in being able to, having the right to be risk averse and having the right to have some control over their existence that isn't going to be constantly harassed by people who don't share a common values. But again, you can't turn it into some sort of, like I said, this whole states' rights thing. Turning states into segregated communities is a bad idea. Turning anything too big into something too dramatic, it just balkanizes and magnifies the dissension. It makes it easier for the generalizations. Makes it easier to say they all suck. So go ahead. You can't really kill an honest rich man, right? I could say that. I could say you can't really kill a useful rich man. You really can't. You just can't find one that you can't possibly waste a bullet. You could say something gross like that, just something horrible. But it doesn't change the fact that it's fucking goddamn true. But no one gets that one either. Even this Constitution thing they wrote, they'll have some little bit of a tax or something. You're just saying the inheritance breaks the game. It just completely breaks the idea of all men are created equal. Well, yeah, no, apparently not even close. They're certainly not born into an equal circumstance. And what's the point of saying that's part of their creation is their place of birth? Garbage heap versus Trump Tower. It makes a difference where you fall out of the vagina. And we should try to minimize that difference. And if we're gonna bestow privilege, privilege should be something that's earned, not awarded. Not even awarded. Just randomly disposed. The only good thing, they said something about an electronic currency, and that's definitely a place to go. I mean, they just, because that way everything we can understand everything about everybody. Well, right now, see, they could solve the immigration problem. We have a Social Security system. We have this reliable numbering thing, and they just don't apply it because they don't really want to fix it. So it's quite obvious. They don't want to fix the problem of immigration. So don't let the Republicans lie to you by saying, the Donald Trumps, they don't want to fix it. Because the solution is easy. You just don't allow people to be employed who are illegal. I mean, not complicated. There's no incentive to come here. If they can't work, there's no point in coming. You can't get services, no point in coming. That's simple. So, like I said, they don't want to fix it. They had to fix, and they don't like it fixed because that doesn't create desperation. They want us in desperation. They want us working for $2 a day. That's what Donald Trump has as an expectation. But just understand the evil of the rich. I mean, people just don't understand that all the wealth they hold is labor obligations. That's what it all equals. It equals an obligation for a laborer to produce the amount of their wealth, the value of their wealth. And if all this stuff went back on the market, it means the value goes way down. All the prices go way, 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 way down if you put all the stuff back on the shelves and force people to pay real money to buy it, not borrowed money, not rich man money borrowed. The rich are playing us so obviously. They're saying, shoving money in our pockets so we can bid up the price of everything that they own. That's the joke. The rich own it. They put it on the market. They give us money to bid up the price so they make more money when they sell it. They make more money when they rent it. Every way they make more money and you lose more money. And then they end up holding a bunch of wealth with this huge value, and that value represents hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of work. $10 billion. If Donald Trump he's so proud of him, I own $10 billion. That's holding in his pocket $10 billion worth of labor. I mean, I can't even tell you how much work that is. And that's what he's holding in his pocket. All right, that's an obligation sitting there that has to be paid by somebody. Somebody has to do that work eventually. So if you don't find that obnoxious, I think you're an idiot. So yes, the holding of surplus is an obscenity. It creates shortage and inflates prices. And makes it harder for us to have a fair struggle for meritorious accomplishment. You obviously just can't have a fair game. It's no Olympics. You can't do the Olympics the way we're doing the economy, can you? Let's just inherit it. I inherited skis. You inherited, whatever, two pieces of styrofoam. So go ahead and beat me in the race. Yeah, I got the $10,000 pair of skis, and you got 2 pieces of styrofoam. Who's gonna win? Yeah, I think I'm gonna win. So, but people are just so I keep saying it. Just people are just so fucking stupid. What's the point? There's a point if you could just say on TV every day, just put an infomercial on TV. Maybe I can make. I keep talking about some, these. I just think some of these ideas might work. Some self-financing infomercial, that just says something really quite harsh and disgusting. And people will say, yes, I want that on TV. I want people told every day, look, you're basically a piece of suck. Try not to fuck it up. All right? Try not to do something recklessly stupid today. Try to do that, please. Try not to get a venereal disease by doing something stupid. Try not to run over a pedestrian trying to cross the fucking street because you're so obsessed with your texting or your other bullshit. Try not to be an asshole, a double asshole, right? Just be a regular asshole. Try not to be a double asshole today. Fucker. Yes, and look in the mirror, look at your fucking family, look at your ancestors, and then think about this whole idea of you having kids. Because it's probably not a good idea, creep. I wouldn't have sex with it. Probably. Unless I was drunk. And a double asshole. Like a Puro. He's more like a triple asshole. So anyway. But yeah, this isn't, fuck. It's just, people have they're just they're not even close to a clue. Not even anywhere near the track. Not even close to the path. Not even near clean air. They're just in a drunken, retarded, ignorant stupor of flashcards and board games. So anyway, my critique of fuckers. So I don't think there's anything else, right? I think that about covers it. Seems like enough to me. So, mushing along. Something or other will happen, or things will whatever, and blah blah blah. Just keep attempting to move in some positively potentially useful direction. It's just obnoxious. You just barely let a little bit of reality in. It's just, ow, that hurt. Just, what a disgusting stench. I mean, it just is, just so bad, so preposterously undercooked is this whole human experiment. Disgusting ingredients, poorly stirred into a grotesque gruel of mush. Yuck. Revolting. We need to have a revolt, because it's revolting. But that just brings up the Puro has that stupid, whatever his name is, Fern, Ferna, I don't know what it's a silly name for a guy. Anyway, and he's, oh, I'm an anarchist, I'm an, you know, and it's just like, oh, you're not. So this is just such a bullshit word. I mean, you just can't do that, right? You just can't look at a dictionary, look at the word anarchy, and say, no, that's not what I want. And you can't understand the difference between I'm a revolutionist, I would like to have a revolution and change things for the better. That's a lot different than advocating I would like to have a perpetual, unorganized, undisciplined, unruled, guided society of volunteers who are all like-minded. And I will create that out of some sort of magic. You know, I'll go catch some leprechauns and grind them up and sprinkle them on the human race, and therefore everybody will be pod people. You know, and part of the Borg I create. It's just silly. You're just, what? Fuck. Fuck. So, I mean, yeah, I mean, people can't even do the minimums of intelligent conversation. I'm going to be pretentious and talk like I'm intelligent, and I'm going to say something so preposterously insane, you know. I can't figure out what the word anarchy means. Shit. So anyway, till next time and such.